Hey, this is Lee with the Turquoise Valentine. We're going to make a cute pumpkin stack today. This is a cloche from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to take some black Waverly chalk paint and paint it over just to cover up that brown plastic look. Just cover it good, and usually one coat with the black is good because it covers really well and dries really fast. And I'm going to paint it, and then I'm going to set that aside to dry. And these pumpkin picks and these little pumpkins on this card, they all come from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take some plaster and Waverly paint, and we're going to paint these little pumpkins and redo them. So I'm going to give this one a good coat with the plaster. It's the biggest pumpkin, so it's going to go on the bottom. So I'm just going to cover it good with the plaster paint. Be sure to cover up all that orange. It already looks better. And it does take 2 coats on these pumpkins, but I edited that out so you can only see 1 coat and won't have to watch me paint them twice. So I'll paint that one plaster. This one's going to be pumpkin. And I am going to mix it with a little bit of the plaster just to tone down the orange just a little bit. I wanted just a subtle orange. So I'm going to take this pumpkin. And these little wire stems are great to hold the pumpkins with while you're actually painting them. So I toned it down with some plaster, mixed them together. Now I'm just painting, and I tried to take the stem off and it wouldn't come off, so I'll wait till it's dry. I'm just going to cover up all that bright orange, tone it down just a little bit, because I like those soft colors for these pumpkins. So just be sure and get it all covered and set it aside to dry. Like I said, it dries pretty quickly. And the little pumpkin, I'm going to do it in Celery by Waverly. Nice, real subtle green. So it's going to be the top pumpkin. Just cover it real well. And these little styrofoam pumpkins take the paint really well too. So just be sure to cover up all the orange. And usually it takes 2 coats. I did do 2 coats on mine. And then I'm going to take some Burnt Umber by Deco Art, and I'm going to mix a little water on my paintbrush just to kind of get that watery, I don't want it quite so dark, but I just want to kind of stain it. And I'm going to go in all these little indentions on the pumpkin just to get those lines to stand out, give it a little bit more dimension on my pumpkin. And it is, you know, watery, but I kind of dab some of it off my paintbrush. And then I'm going to go in and get a paper towel, and I'm just going to blot off a lot of it. And so it just leaves that little bit of stain on the pumpkin just to kind of increase the look of those little lines on the pumpkin. Give it some dimension. Now I'm going to cut off the stick on the bottom and cut off the one on the top because we're going to set a pumpkin on top of it. Now I'm going to take my medium-sized little pumpkin, and I'm going to do the same thing with it. Just put a little watered down paint on it, go in all those lines, just to enhance that on the pumpkin, to give it a little dimension. Same thing I did as I did on the plaster one. Now blot it off again, just to get rid of some of the excess, so it just looks subtle. And I'm going to cut this stem off the bottom with my wire cutters. And then I'm going to pull the stem out because we don't need it. Then I'm going to do the same thing to the tiny pumpkin. Just go in those little lines again and blot it off with a paper towel, the excess. And I'm going to leave the stem on it, but I am going to trim it down just a little because it is kind of long on the top, but I'll cut the bottom off. And I did cut the top off. I don't think I showed that part. And put some hot glue on your little base of your cloche and set the biggest pumpkin down. And let it set up. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the medium-sized one and glue it to the top of the big one. Oh, here's where I cut off the top part. Okay. Trim that down. Now I'm going to put some glue on the bottom, just regular hot glue. I use Gorilla hot glue. Any would work. And there's your little stack. And so we're going to have to add some little something to it. So I just got a piece of buffalo check ribbon and a couple of pieces of raffia, and I'm going to tie it in like a little knot and just slip it down over the stem of the top pumpkin. And I'm going to trim that ribbon and raffia down just a little bit so it'll fit inside the cloche. I think it just gives it a little extra something, that ribbon. Then I'm going to take some Spanish moss and glue it around the base of the pumpkins just to kind of cover up that brown plastic looking that I did not paint because it's not going to show. Just kind of stick it down with the hot glue and give it a haircut because it's kind of wild and frizzy. And that stuff gets everywhere. Then I'm going to put the top back on and twist it. And now we have our cute little stacked pumpkins in a cloche. Thank y'all for watching, guys. I'm Lee with Turquoise Valentine. I'd love for you to follow my page and like my page. And I thank you for watching, and I hope you make your own pumpkin stack under the cloche. Thank you for watching. Bye, guys.